What is up, alienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about the topic generally, which I'm dubbing a reptilian repertoire. And this is just something really that I actually saw on a show. It was some show that I saw years ago that just came to my mind to make it like that. Plus, you know, with the double R, it's kind of fun. And then you roll your tongue and then whatever. So it's just like a rip-roaring good time over her. But either which way, there was a show that I saw a while ago, and it was in regards to some sort of reptile. I think it might have been like an alligator that was in the it was in the Amazon River, not Amazon the fucking where you order everything, the Amazon fucking river, which is interesting because why is Amazon so known as being like a big empire of like buying and selling and trading goods, and then Amazon is also home to like a lot of reptiles. Interesting, food for thought. But anyway, so it was some show to the effect of when animals attack humanoids, and so, you know, I watch these type of shows because I'm that motherfucker apparently. But either which way, I was watching the show, and it was about this guy who basically had a friendship with an alligator, I believe. It was some sort of large reptile. So the alligator and this dude, they were living somewhere, I believe, I don't know if it was exactly the Amazon, but it was some river that was like tropical, so I'm like pretty sure it was like the Amazon River. Anyway, that's semantics, it's neither here nor there. It's basically the alligator in its natural habitat, and the humanoid man had like a friendship with it. And then so someone came on that they were interviewing, because this was you know, a show about animals attacking human, and I don't remember if this guy was attacked by the alligator or if he was someone that was interviewed to show the alligator perspective. I don't remember, and I don't want to say it. I don't even remember what show it was, but I remember the word repertoire because this dude that they were interviewing, and he was basically like an animal studyist or something, and he was like, alligators don't do that. It's not part of their repertoire to be friends with humans. And it was really fucking funny. So, you know, I meandered along, but I mean, that's how I got to this title, Reptilian Repertoire. So, let's talk about, now I discuss why it's called that, because it is the repertoire that we are going to be discussing of the reptilian energy from a fourth dimensional perspective, because we do know that we have the reptilian brain, which is aka known as the dinosaur brain, which we are going to be exploring a little bit in depth over here, because everyone always talks about the fucking conscious mind and the subconscious mind, but you know, the other part of like the brain that is very important, which forms the triad, right, the three heads of God, from what I've channeled, is the reptilian portion of the brain, which is overlooked and neglected and frowned upon. So we gonna talk about him, we gonna hype him up a little bit in this broadcast, okay? Okay, because you have a reptilian portion of your brain, yes you do. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's science, okay? Whatever science is. Okay, science, right? PSY, science. Yes? Okay. So, the reptilian repertoire is shape-shifting. Now, not to get into this whole spiel, because it might be another video, I'm not sure, you know how it works over here, I never know what the fuck I'm gonna channel really until like, you know, like 20 minutes before I fucking sit my ass down over her. So this might be another video altogether, but basically I was doing some shadow work, which entailed me gazing into, you know, the black scrying mirror, and then looking at the shadow aspects of myself, and then incorporating new aspects into myself by looking into this larger, just regular, I guess, silver mirror, because there's black mirror and then there's silver mirror. Okay, there's also a show called Black Mirror, which is really, really fucking on fucking fleek if you want to know more about the fucking official narrative agenda. That's what they are meandering towards right about now in the Earth timeline as we transition to the Mars Matrix. So I was doing some of that shadow work. Needless to say, so my mirrors became very important to me, okay, in terms of like shadow work and incorporating traits that I wanted to embrace more of in myself. So I've been doing that maybe for like a little bit, and then the other day, how I was prompted to, which really, you know, really fucking lit a fucking fire under my ass to fucking film this, was that the other day I was, you know, I was sitting in front of the computer and I was editing whatever, which I pretty much do almost every day. I don't know. I mean, there's some days I don't, but like, you know, that's part of my repertoire, okay? I sit and I film and then I edit, or, you know, I film a reading or do whatever the fuck, okay? But I'm pretty much always sit in front of a film, or I'm you know, putting videos, whatever, okay? That's how I roll. So, I was doing that for a little bit, and then I walked past the mirror that I was using for energetic work. It's this large mirror, and it's shaped really like a horizontal eye. Of course it is. And I bought this years ago, and I don't know why, but now I know because it's shaped like an eye. So either which way, I have my little round black scrying mirror that I used for the shadow work of traits that I wanted to dismiss. And then the large, I guess full length, you could say. It's not entirely full length, but you could, I mean, I could see my full fucking vessel in it, the way it's positioned. So it's shaped like an eye, and it's just like a regular glass mirror. I guess it's like, has a silver backing, I don't know. And so I passed by this mirror because it stands, and then I just looked, like, I wasn't looking in the mirror intentionally, but as I walked by, you know how you kind of like notice yourself in the mirror as you walk by? You know, like, come on, you motherfuckers know at least once you fucking checked yourself out in a fucking department store fucking reflection of the glass, like you're walking by, like, I know you do that, or you did that at least one time. I know you did. And if you ain't do that, you, I think maybe you should incorporate that, like, just like, oh, any reflective surface, I see myself reflected back, and I am jiggy. So I passed by this mirror that was in my house, and well, it is in my house. In my domain, okay? And so I passed by, and I saw like part of the reflection out of the corner of my eye, and I was like that. I was like, I was a little bit startled, okay? I was like, no, I legit did that. I shit you not. I'm completely sober right now, and I was completely sober when this incident occurred, okay? So in case you were wondering, FYI. Anyway, so I was like, who the fuck is that reptile? Yes. I said, who the fuck is that reptile? Because the face that I done seen looking back at me was a reptilian, but it was my reflection. Ain't no one else was in the reflection, in case you're thinking, oh, did someone, no, it was me, it was just me. I wasn't even looking, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're actively looking in the mirror because that's what you're doing, because you're doing something that requires a mirror, then yeah. But this, I just walked by and I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I said, who the fuck is that? It was me. And that's why I was prompted to film this. And we do get a little long-winded around here, but I like to show y'all how we meander along and everything is all connected. So that is the story. So I was looking at myself after I was like done, startled out my fucking drawers. I looked, I said, and then I looked again. You know when you like do a double take and you're like, wait, what? Did I just, and I was looking, I'm like, oh my God. It legit was like a reptilian face, how you see how they're depicted. And it looked, the way it looked to me was like a velociraptor face, but like flattened, you know, not like a long snout, but more of a humanoid, but still like a velociraptor face. And you can find these images online if you type in like humanoid reptile, because that is legit what I saw staring back at me. And it was me. It was just the face. Like I saw my face, but I saw inside my face like a little bit kind of translucent. I saw that it was green, like greenish, and it was greenish, like, you know, the color of a crocodile. Honestly, I ain't shitting you, okay? I was completely sober then. I'm completely sober now. I will tell you this. So I said, this is a pimp jam. Anyway, of course I have my trance music on. So I was like, who the fuck is this? And I'm like looking, you know, because I want to make sure. I'm like, I know I ain't smoke nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I wasn't doing nothing like that. I was just editing a video like I do, you know. I was going about my normal routine. Then I walked into the other room, and then I was like, what the fuck? And then I said, oh my God. I was like, that's it. that is the image of the reptile, the shape-shifting ability of the reptilian. Because it was me, I was wearing all my clothes, you know what I'm saying? And it was me, it was my face, it was my hair, it was like everything, but it had like a reptilian undertone. And I seen the scales, homie Holmes, I seen the scales. I said, oh my God. I saw the scales is like green, and it just really looked like this reptilian. And I said, oh snap, I'm gonna film me a video about this, because I mean, it does sound really weird, but I shit you not, this fucking occurred. I shit you the fuck not, this fucking occurred. So, yes, I'm just looking at my notes, because that's how I wanted to tell you how I got there. So really, you know, oh, and by the way, I looked at my hands too, and my hands looked like the same, like, reptilian, like anywhere that my skin was showing, it just looked legit like a translucent lizard material. I don't fucking know. It's so funny how I say material, because now we're gonna like segue into this other part. So I don't remember if this was the night before or the night after, but it was like it was like consecutive, so I don't remember which came first, the fucking reptile or the fucking egg. Notice how I didn't say chicken, because we ain't chicken over here, we're fucking crocodile. There's a difference in the energy. Okay, so wow, I'm sober. I'm gonna keep saying that, I'm sober. Don't accuse me of anything. So, this trance music gets me fucking revved up, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so, I don't know which one happened first, but basically, like, either the night before that or the night after that. I think it was the night before. Now that I'm, like, talking about it, I think it might have been the night before. And so, I had a dream where there was, like, a crocodile that started talking to me in the dream, or maybe it was the night after, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, because they happened like within less than 24 hours, so I'm just going to count them in the same day. Time doesn't exist, but let's just say for fucking 3D earthly linear time perspective, it was within the range of 24 hours that these two happened, okay, in that time frame. And the crocodile fucking in the dream just started talking to me like a talking crocodile, like legit kind of looked like that, because that's how their snouts look, right? They look like that. And so the crocodile just started talking to me about spaceships. And then that was a whole other conversation about space and ships, and a ship is a vessel, and like there's a whole bunch of, there was like a cornucopia of things that stemmed from that. But we're not going to get into that in this video, because I do want to keep it on the reptilian repertoire. But that's another thing that's more, you know, I don't even want to get started, because you know I'm a fucking talk about get started. So don't blame me, it's all Mercury. Okay, so those things happened. I was like, you know what, the crocodile started telling me messages. I saw that, you know, I guess I'm a fucking reptilian shapeshifter, you know what I'm saying, because I done seen that in the mirror. And you know, they gave me some messages in regards to that, and they basically the general thing that what is for me to let you all know is that everyone has this ability to shapeshift in the form of a reptile. There are actually videos of pick a name, okay, not every big name, but a lot of big names, a few big names. You can just type it in, like so and so shapeshifting into reptilian, and a lot of videos will come up. So I do just want to touch on that, because what they want me to let you know, because the reptilians are guiding this broadcast. This is sponsored by, you know, the Lizard King, the Lizard Queen. I am the lizard everything. I am the lizard. But I'm not really a lizard. Is a crocodile a lizard? I think a lizard is more of like a chameleon. But anyway, I represent more like crocodile motherfucking energy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. So this is guided by the reptilians. You pick a reptile. They all up in here. Okay. So they basically want me to let you know that reptilian energy, you can shapeshift, and that's what it is. So if you have seen things like that, or if you've been accused of shapeshifting in front of someone's face, know that that is a natural and innate ability, which we are going to be getting a little bit into more with quotes that I channeled verbatim from the reptilians, and they guided me to just, you know, kind of say the quotes and then let each eye discern for itself and trust no agent, meaning each eye of you from the eye of y'all perspective. Okay, so that is really what they want me to let you know, that everyone has that ability. So I just happen to see it in front of my physical eyes. So this can be used as like a way to, you know, if you want to think of a literal chameleon, why does it behoove the chameleon in the moment to blend in with its surroundings? Or in some cases you might want to actually convey that you have that reptilian energy in you and you want others to see the reptilian in you, right? So that it really, it's like chameleon shapeshifter type of energy, and it's very fluid and instantaneous. But that is an essence of a successful incorporation. Remember I spoke about the 3 aspects of the fucking brain: the reptilian brain, the fucking mental brain, and the fucking emotional brain, subconscious and conscious mind, right? With the reptilian brain with the dinosaur mind. Okay, so that is when you have successfully incorporated and united the triad, that you may start to experience shape-shifting abilities. You might actually physically see yourself shape-shift, or shape-shift, or others might notice that in you. Okay, and also I do want to say that when I was looking in the mirror, you know, I wasn't like looking at it like studying it. It just, when I looked in the mirror, I felt my eyes activate. Like I felt them do something. You know how the reptilians, they have this nictitating membrane, I think that's the word, I'm pretty sure it is, but it can cover the eye, or their eyes can turn into tiny slits, which is not necessarily a part of something that the human psyche wants to comprehend that they are capable of doing. But the humanoid who has incorporated the triad, they can now turn their eyes into slits. And it's simply, it's just really, the purpose of that is to really just like shield their eye, because the smaller the pupil is, you know, the less light it's taking in. So in very, very bright conditions, it'll just go into a slit, and it's really just, you know, to help them see better. So there's no like malefic purpose about that. But it, you know, typically like snakes or demons or even cats are depicted with this sort of like sour reputation, and you always see like the eye, the slit like that, and it kind of has like, you know, a reputation of like nefarious activities or someone being sneaky, I guess, because it's small and slit. And as I said, my mirror that I was looking at, it's like a life-size eye shape, but it's kind of like a slit, you know, because it's like an oblong type of thing. Okay, and yeah, so it's sort of like a vertical kind of like reptilian eye type of shape. Okay, so yes, I did feel my eyes. I didn't see, because like I said, I didn't examine in the mirror, but I did feel them maneuvering around as if they were like finagling more of a reptilian property, as what I mentioned, nictitating membrane, I don't know if that's the word again, I don't know, or the you know, like the kind of cat's eye effect, you know what I'm saying? But we crocodiles up in this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so the unification of the triad, which I discussed, is the reptilian brain, the dinosaur, and the oh my god, the reptilian brain is known as the dinosaur mind. Dinosaur, as we know, means terrible lizard. Okay, and the dinosaur brain, a terrible lizard, is the primeval movement to keep the physical vessel preserved. So if you did not have that instinctual dinosaur brain, that primitive part of you, it don't matter, subconscious, conscious, I think I have another video on this. I don't know if we get talking about dinosaurs in a video, but we got, I know I got something in regards to that. Ooh. And so the subconscious and the conscious mind, yes, you want to unite them, you want to have them, you know, you want to have them working together like seamlessly and effortlessly, but motherfuckers tend to not mention the very part of primeval goodness which dinosaurs, you know, it's like when you're talking about primeval dinosaurs, we could take it as a metaphor, because dinosaurs, we can have the, well, I ain't having no debate right now, but I mean, it's been debated if the dinosaurs really exist or if they didn't, okay? So that's another topic altogether, but either which way dinosaurs are, there's a story motherfucking out there, remember his story, okay? But I don't know if it's gonna be your story. I mean, my story is that the dinosaurs are a motherfucking metaphor for the primeval reptilian brain. That's why dinosaurs are known as terrible lizards, because if you don't unify the primeval portion of the humanoid brain that everyone in a fucking human vessel has, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, they ain't gonna matter, because motherfucker will have vacated their fucking vessel because they weren't concerned about preserving their physical vessel through that primeval instinct. So the dinosaur is a terrible lizard. It's a metaphor because they want to talk about, this is you, this is your primeval. You are a fucking terrible lizard if you leave the reptilian portion of the fucking humanoid brain unchecked. If you do not rectify the humanoid portion of the humanoid brain with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, you will not deliver yourself from all evil and fear, motherfucker, homie homes. You will not, because you done just forgot home skillet up in the, like, you like, oh, my subconscious mind is amazing. Oh, my conscious mind. And you're like, reptilian, psh, the fuck is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't a primitive motherfucker. I'm advanced. Like, word, you so advanced, but you don't give a fuck about self-preservation of the vessel so that you can continue to, like, carry on the experience in this vessel and incorporate it and actually live as a god on motherfucking earth, knowing no fear whatsoever. That's the terrible lizard dinosaur fucking portion, okay? So it's a metaphor. Terrible lizard. It's frowned upon because motherfuckers are scared of their primeval instinct, their primeval urge. That's why dinosaurs are depicted the way that they are, okay? Because it's like they're big and they're bad and they roar and they fucking, I don't think they growl. I think they're typically depicted as roar, but they would really hiss, because reptiles hiss. They do not roar because they don't make a big deal out of things in a way to, like, roar. That's more of like a mammal type of thing. A reptile fucking hisses, okay? But you know, as I said, the way that the dinosaurs are depicted, in my view, it's a metaphor. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just letting you know that if dinosaurs did exist, they didn't roar, they motherfucking hissed. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about there, because, you know, we already know so much about the emotional portion of the brain, the subconscious mind, which is feelings, and we know a lot about the thought brain, the conscious mind, and the beliefs, right? So we have those. You want to rectify them, but you want to incorporate the primeval set. You have the triad, the head of God, the Holy Trinity, as, you know, some religious beliefs might say, but it's all the same thing. You want to incorporate all of them. Because once you incorporate the reptilian portion, you know no fear, because you're primeval, motherfucker. I mean, if we want to think about that primeval, the way it's spelled in terms of the dinosaurs, there's a certain spelling, and then there's primeval, like prime, and then the word evil. And what is the word evil backwards, fellow? It's live, because you lived through every fear, so ain't none of them come near, because that's it. You rectified everything. So you're like, yo, I'm chilling. My primeval instinct on fleek, my fucking subconscious mind on fleek, my conscious mind on fleek. That we all on fleek up in this motherfucker. So that's how you know that you have incorporated the shapeshifter ability, when those three aspects of the Godhead are incorporated into your psyche. And then you might start, you know, because those are like the incorporation of the 3D, and then now you're from a 4D perspective, which is shapeshifter territory, which is why you will be able to shapeshift at will. You'll also be able to do it instinctively, because it is a natural occurrence for the reptilian, okay? So now I'm going to read you verbatim some of the things that they, you know, are wanting me to let you know. So here we go, okay? Some of them I might clarify, some of them I might not. It just depends. I'm going to see how it goes. Okay, so when these three aspects, the ones I just spoke of, the Holy Trinity, as some might suggest, are rectified, we now have the elevation and governance by default over the third dimensional plane. This, friends, is the reptilian recipe or repertoire. You know what I'm saying? They all begin with R. The primitive reptilian brain must be incorporated as it is a part of the triad. Too much you focus on the conscious and the subconscious, believing you are highly more advanced than a reptile. Yet, it is in the reptilian instincts which keeps your breath in the vessel. That's something to ponder as I continue. Once you overcome fear, what happens when the brains of three, the three heads of God, are united as one? This gift of holiness, pick whichever spelling of holiness that you behooves you to, is utilized in the fourth dimensional plane to manipulate the primitive, subconscious, and conscious fears of others. The others that operate predominantly in the third dimensional plane, okay? You shapeshift into their greatest fear. You are the shapeshifter. You are operating in your mind-body space through the fourth dimension. You present to them, meaning third dimensional motherfuckers, what they fear the most. It has nothing to do with you. You own your shape-shifting ability. What they choose to see in you is their problem or their present. It is always right to protect and preserve yourself by shape-shifting in the moment, whilst allowing them a gift as well, allowing them a glimpse of to what they need to uncover within themselves. For from the fourth dimensional level of consciousness, you are the mirror. The preservation of the mind-body-space energy takes place ethereally. So you know how we had the primitive dinosaur brain that is preserving the physical vessel? Now the preservation of the mind-body-space energy, that's preservation of the vessel, which is ethereal, which is where, you know, where energy from all the higher dimensions, 5D and up. 4D is a shapeshifter realm, okay? That's where time exists, time travel, all that's shape-shifting. And so that is the area where there's also a vessel, but it's a non-corporal vessel, but it is still you. It's just the next level up. It's the higher octave of your physical vessel. So if you want to imagine you, I mean, some might want to call this the astral body. I was not given a title for this, but it is another body. It's a vessel, and this is the preservation of the vessel. When you shape shift, you're doing that naturally because it's a natural instinct. So if you need to be the chameleon and show that you're blended in with the grass or whatever, where the fuck they're hanging out, then that is what you do in the moment. But if you also need to turn your motherfucking self into a crocodile if someone crosses your path and you don't want them to be there, then you're going to show that you are the apex predator. Okay, so you might take many forms, but it's going to be what whoever is gazing upon you is required to see in that moment from you. But you're doing it naturally, but it's based upon their fears. It's not based upon your fears, because remember, you rectified your fears, right? So now this, you shape-shifting to show them, I guess, who the bigger boogeyman is, right? Like to keep a motherfucker away from you, to preserve your emotional vessel. You're guarding, you're protecting the emotional vessel. So a motherfucker, let's say their biggest fear, I'm gonna use a light example. Their biggest fear is candy canes. Oh god, this reminds me of that movie. Where's that movie? Oh my god. It's with Paul Walker and some dude, and and they're in a car on a road trip, and then so they have this dude that's like candy cane, like he says in like a weird, I forget the name, I know you know what I'm talking about, it's some movie, okay, probably the name is gonna come to me when I, you know, but I don't know, okay, and it's like candy cane, so whatever, weird example, but maybe that might resonate with someone, I don't fucking know. So either which way, so let's say a motherfucker is approaching someone who's rectified the mind, body, space, energy, okay, because this is the triad of the fourth dimension, okay. Mind, body, that's just what they're telling me. If I get more information on that, you know, I'll make another video on it, whatever, but just let's go. The triad of the 4D is mind, body, space, energy. That's what they want me to call it. So when you have incorporated the 3D, now you're like in the mind, body, space, everything is even, and then you have like a non-corporal vessel that is yours in the 4D. So this is how you preserve it when, let's say someone is afraid of candy canes. Instinctually, you're just picking it up because that's what it is. You're picking up, and then you mold yourself into the biggest, baddest motherfucking candy cane. And then you're not necessarily doing something on a conscious level. You don't necessarily have to say anything to them. You don't, you know, you naturally, instinctually, because you're picking up on their fears, because you're able to sense their fears once you have mastered your own of the 3D domicile, whatever, you're now like 4D elevated. That's where your consciousness is primarily focused. And so now you're just picking up on an intuitive level candy cane, like that's what they need to see to get a motherfucker to like stay away from you, that you turn into a candy cane, but you do it like subconsciously. It's like a weird way, and it's not even really subconsciously, but that's the best way I can describe it, because remember, we are talking about an octave of the fourth dimension, which is going to be indescribable by third dimensional words, but the closest comparison I could say, it's just like you're going to instinctively shapeshift into something that you're sensing in them. It's like you sense their fear and you're just like, oh, word, now what? That's what you do, okay? And you do it instinctively, which we're going to get a little more into. So here's the thing, you know, that's what they want me to say. So it's a natural instinct. It's not that you know, it's like the dinosaur brain. It's like the instinct to preserve the emotional vessel. It's just you're going to shape shift and you're going to transform. Now you're like the biggest mirror of everything, whoever that you don't want to approach you, or someone who approaches you stupidly or whatever. Now you are instinctively turning into something that's going to like, it's going to corkscrew a motherfucker, which I just coined that term earlier today, but I mean, I'm going to get into that in a little bit, okay? But I just want to clarify, okay, because that's the 4D level of consciousness in the mirror. Once you know, mind, body, space, energy is rectified, now you become the mirror, okay? So let's see. So how do you want to act with the third dimensional humanoid frivolities, which are derived out of fear? Do you want to govern yourself properly, perhaps, free from restraints and immune to disorder? Okay? The reptilians. Okay, so now we're going to go into altitude, velocity, heat. This is another triad. This is a triad of describing manifestation from a fourth dimensional perspective. So let's just read here now. When you have governed properly the utilization of fourth dimensional mind, body, space, energy, you understand that you shapeshift instinctively. You show them the face of what preserves you in the moment. Also, what is beneficial for them to see in you in that very moment as well. This is the true shapeshifter. It is a natural affinity with energy. And now you see, in 4D states of mind, states of being, you are operating as the mirror. For those in the 3D, to see shadow aspects of themselves. This is naturally occurring when you are in the fourth dimensional state of mind predominantly, rather than the 3D state of affairs. You know that at your every whim, you are the puppet master. You may mold and shapeshift anything in 3D to your liking. That includes anyone, everyone, everything. This is the fourth dimensional reptilian consciousness vantage point of the mind-body space. With your rectified, holy, pick a spelling, functioning mind-body space, you are able to hypnotize. You are able to flow in the very way which it serves you the best in each passing moment. So let's get into the 3 reptilian principles of the fourth dimensional mind-body space that I kept fucking talking about. So we have altitude, which, loosely defined as height, depth, elevation. And the elevation of the consciousness behind the desire, that which you wish to see in the 3D in terms of manifesting, shall dictate the swiftness in regards to the time of when the desired enters the atmosphere of the third dimensional matrix. Much like the spaceships they inform you of. Okay? Then we have velocity, which we're going to take as speed or swiftness, and we think of a velociraptor or a bird of prey, which, they say that velociraptors and birds are really interchangeable, but, it's another story. They are agile. They swoop in from an above perspective. They are looking down into the lowers for the perfect time and angle of attack. Okay. Heat, loose definition, warmth, glow, summer, indicates how charged up the air, meaning like the atmosphere, the ethers, is surrounding the arrival of said desire. Does it arrive in the form of burning or in the radiation of bliss? So you get to choose. Does it incur a smooth landing or blow up upon entry? Okay, so remember I told you in the beginning that there was a talking crocodile and he started talking to me about spaceships. So I think that was given to me in part to really describe what I'm speaking of here. So if we want to think of altitude, velocity, and heat, what I'm talking about here is the with the spaceships, okay, and then we have the velocity, the speed at which the spaceship is flowing, okay, and then we have the way that it enters the atmosphere. Now this is in terms of how manifestation occurs from a fourth dimensional perspective rather than a third dimensional perspective, because we all know how manifestation occurs in the third dimensional perspective, right? Or at least we have a very good idea. But from the fourth dimensional perspective, it's really about the altitude of it, okay? So the altitude, the higher you go in terms of altitude, the more swift that it's going to enter the atmosphere, right? Because there's no resistance. The higher you go, how do they say, oh my God, there's something, I always watch these shows about the aeroplanes, about the jets, where like they fly and then they, the air becomes too thin to support the weight of the plane, right? After a certain, whatever. Again, I don't know. I mean, is the atmosphere real? We're not talking about that here, okay? But that's just an example. So the air becomes thinner, right? It's lighter, so it can't support something heavy. Something heavy is just going to be so far removed from it. So it's easy, right? It's just easy. You just navigate. You maneuver like a crocodile, like, in search of its prey in the fucking river. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. And so the higher the altitude is, it's going to dictate the velocity of the speed or swiftness in which that thing arrives to you, okay? But also in terms of velocity, speed, and swiftness, there is a sensation, right? Because we have the altitude, the consciousness perception, which is dictating the velocity, how you move in for the kill, so to speak. So it's dictating that from the above perspective, okay? Because you're always looking down, and from the fourth dimensional perspective, you can see through roadblocks in a way where one might not be able to from a strictly third dimensional standpoint. And you're seeing through it, and you're looking, you're like, well, if I see through this road and I see through that road, I see that if I choose to point my consciousness here, this road is going to get me there swifter, and like it's more of like a strategy, I want to say, okay, in terms of the altitude governing the velocity. And then of course we have the heat, which this is also the method of delivery, okay? So did you get express shipping, or did you didn't care if it was coming through like snail mail or whatever the fuck, okay? Does it incur a smooth landing or blow up upon entry? So this is again in regards to the spaceship. So now we want to look at, right, from the altitude. Let's just say that there are spaceships that are looking over the Earth matrix, okay? From that altitude, they're able to see where they want to direct the velocity, the angle of attack. Well, we can't land over here because it's going to be weird or bumpy ride or whatever. We're going to land over here, right? So that's like the step. And now the way that in which it arrives to you, is it going to be smooth? And this is, we're talking about heat. So remember, this is energy that can burn. So this is also in regards to what I would consider maybe like the Tower Tarot card, right? Because we do know that there are spaceships. One of the, I forget, it was somewhere in 2003. I forget what it's called. I think the Columbia. It like burned up on entry back into the atmosphere. I mean, that's the story that they were telling about that, but I'm just using that in a metaphorical context here. So it was coming into the atmosphere, but it broke apart, right? Because there was something in the spaceship that it was like the outer skin of the spaceship was tainted, right? And then it started like burning up, okay? Or there have been other spaceships that have purported to land smoothly back in the Earth atmosphere, right? So with the heat, how are you dictating, right? It's like you're turning the frequency. If you are sensing that there is a hole in the skin of the spaceship, are you going to move slower because you're aware that there's a hole in the skin of the spaceship, or are you just going to continue to maneuver, right? Because remember, 4D, it's still malleable. It can go either direction, but you have to be on your fucking A game when you're, doing this little equation here. You got to be on your fucking A game. And so with the Tower Tarot card, it's like an explosion, because you can get what you want very swiftly, but if you didn't repair that little hole in the skin of the spaceship, like when it tries to enter the atmosphere, when that energetic vibration is literally slowing down to materialize in third dimensional form so it can present itself to you, it's going to be like a bumpy ride, okay? It's not going to be pleasant. So you have to make sure that you are viewing it from the highest possible altitude, and you are seeing from your vantage point the angle of attack where you want to go. And this is what I would also in a way maybe call like choosing paths or something. You're choosing a location where you want it to enter the atmosphere in the most swift fashion. But the way that you turn up the heat, if you're feeling burned and you don't address the burn, it's going to disintegrate when it enters the atmosphere, and it might not be arriving in a pleasant way. But if you tune it, if you tone the heat down, you're like, oh shit, there's a hole in the fucking skin of the spaceship. You know what? We're gonna know that we're gonna move just a little bit slower, just so we can keep everything intact. Okay, so that's really like a fourth dimensional perspective. So altitude, velocity, heat. That is the reptilian recipe for governing the fourth dimensional energy of the mind, body, space. The reptilian brain on a fourth dimensional perspective is what keeps one alive energetically. Like I said, that non-corporal vessel in the 4D. Just like the reptilian brain on the third dimensional plane keeps the physical vessel in performance. As does the reptilian mind, body, space in the fourth dimension preserves the energetic vessel. Mind-body space is the area of rectification of the reptilian dinosaur brain, subconscious feeling brain, and conscious mental brain. Shapeshifting is a natural ability here in the fourth dimension. We shapeshift as the moment behooves us to in any space of time. Because remember, the 4D is where you can maneuver through time in that space. Okay, I know you've probably seen this movie. Okay, I know you've probably seen this movie Interstellar, where they create the Tesseract or something, and then he's going in and he's in that would be like equating to the 4D. Okay, and it's like in that space of time. That's where the shape-shifting takes place. That's where you go into different areas of time. And that occurs in the mind-body space. So let's say the 4D, we want to picture the like an Interstellar, the Tesseract, that, who is that, Matthew McConaughey, he's in there and he's like, I don't know, he's placed in the watcher doing some shit. And that would be a representative of your non-corporal vessel in the 4D, the higher octave of your 3D physical vessel. That's where you're performing the altitude, velocity, heat equations, and you are tuning it and adjusting accordingly how you want to place things in the 3D. Okay, so we're just gonna go. They want me to say this, so we're gonna say it. Thank you, reptilians. Reptilian energy in the eyes is impassive. Reptilian energy focuses on the movement of the tongue and the vibrations that are sensed in the environment. So if you've ever observed reptiles, which I ain't gonna lie, I like to look at videos of crocodiles. I just like it, like, or snakes. Like, there's some videos of like these snakes and they eat like a whole deer alive, and then there's like videos of like crocodiles like chasing zebras in the river and things like that. Okay, I think I mentioned this in my other video, but either which way, if you notice their maneuvers, they stalk. That sounds really crazy, but they stalk. Okay, but they also give a warning. So it's like because they can sense the fear, they're going to go for the weakest link. Okay, because it's just, they're sensing it, right? So if they sense that someone's not afraid, they're gonna be like, whatever, not like, I don't care, right? But they're not going to reveal anything about themselves to the prey, because they're watching the prey. Because remember, if we want to think of reptilian energy 4D, so now it's like you can observe, and that's how you sense the fears in others. Now, I'm not saying you're stalking anyone or doing things for malicious purposes, but this is just the best way that I can describe it, because now you sense the weakness, because fear is a weakness. Okay, if you're afraid of anything, it essentially is stronger than you because it's overpowering you, right? Because you're afraid of it. So anyone, and this goes for anyone, if there's a fear, the fourth dimensional energy can sense it immediately because they've already governed that within themselves. Okay, and they are impassive. Okay, so the thing with shape-shifting is that they will shape-shift, like I said, in the mirror format, but because they are impassive, no one will ever know what they're truly up to themselves. Because the crocodile, if you've ever looked at, I look at crocodile faces and I'm like, oh, he looks like he's so in a good mood, right? Like, whatever, me. But typically if you look in a crocodile's eyes, they're not going to show any type of emotions. Like, you're not going to see emotions in the eyes of a crocodile, right? And that's just simply what they mean. So like I said, with the eye thing going on, that also can shut down, energetically speaking. Like I said, when I was looking in the mirror, and then with the eye thing, with the nictitating membrane, whatever it's called, and then the eyes being as slits, you can also, and I had this in like another video or a few other videos, I don't remember, but you can also shut down conveying messages through your eyes unless that is your intention, right? You can actively convey a message, like shoot laser beams at a motherfucker, or you can actively just shut down, put a wall. Like, you could be looking motherfucker dead in the face, but they ain't gonna know anything about you, right? The eyes are the window to the soul. No, you can shut that shit down, okay, from the reptilian perspective, okay? So they observe and they wait. So picture a crocodile in the water, smoothly, swiftly, and stealthily pursuing their prey. Do they disturb the water around them? or do they perfectly navigate the waves? You see, because in my other video, I don't remember which one, it was a recent one, I was talking about does the vessel contain the water, or does the water contain the vessel? So if you want to think of the waves, right, there are waves going on like all the time. Quantum physics states that pretty much everything behaves as a wave, right, if it wants to, and if you're conducting it as such. But with this, they're not disturbed by the water around them. This is reptilian energy speaking in like the metaphor of the crocodile, like stalking its prey in the fucking river. They're just like, I'm telling you, and if you want to just search it on YouTube, there are plenty of videos when a crocodile, oh gosh, when a crocodile is maneuvering the water, it's so smooth, like you don't see like so much as a ripple. I mean, you might see a little ripple, but it's just like the way it's so smoothly executed. Ooh, anyway, that's like the best way I can describe it. They're not being disturbed by the water around them because they know how to navigate it, but they're also not disturbing the water around them. So they know how to target, right? Like I said, with that, with the velocity and the target, the angle of attack and things like that. So they also know not to disturb when no one is disturbing them, so to speak, okay? And then if we want to get to the, the communication with the eyes, how they can shut it down, it's also with the tongues. So speaking in tongues is quite common with reptilian energy. It's common with demonic energy, but demonic energy, remember the fears that you face, they're kind of like, you've already conquered that, so now you speak in tongues in a way that behooves you, okay? Because let me tell you something. You incorporate the reptilian energy, and this is a whole other topic about the demonic energy leading to the reptilian energy, because demonic energy is really just your fears or things that are considered taboo, meant to keep you in fear and trapped in the matrix. Once you've conquered those, the demons, as they speak, it's not necessarily like a personified demon unless you want it to be. It's just forms of energy. So when someone is speaking in tongues, that is essentially them in a higher octave elevation, where like something that they energetically have a fear of is trying to get their attention in such a way where perhaps it looks frightening to the observer, whatever. But the speaking in tongues is also because the tongue, with the rolling of the tongue in like the R sound, as I said, that's also indicative of communication, okay? The rolling of the tongue, the hissing, right? These are all tongue movements, okay? And they're based on vibration, because if you're hissing, your tongue is vibrating. If you're like rolling your tongue, that was a really bad roll, but I think that's a little better. When you're rolling your tongue, you are essentially vibrating your tongue. Like it's not forming a word, is not forming a word, right? It's a vibration. So that's really like a higher aspect of speaking in tongues, because now you master the tongue, and the tongue is how a reptilian shapeshifter really communicates, okay? So and they go, because they go by vibration, because they will give you a warning. They will hiss if they don't want you near them. They'll be like or whatever, right? And that's like, oh shit, that's how they communicate. So if ever a motherfucker in a humanoid vessel starts hissing, or they start literally speaking in tongues, you best get the fuck on up out of there, okay? You just up and out, don't matter, just leave, because that was like a warning, like, yo, don't fuck with this, okay? Unless you're like an exorcist and you're performing an exorcism, then I mean you're kind of already prepared for what you're getting into, and but if you're just a lay person, if a motherfucker hiss at you, you best vacate the premises, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so the tongue is it can also be like it's seen in a lot of ways. The tongue can be like suggestive or seductive as well. Like if you flick your tongue at someone, like I know Kali, she's associated with demonic energy and Lord Saturn, like she I don't know, that's what she does, right? She does some shit like that, okay? And it's like demonic energy, because it's sort of like, when you wield your tongue, and now we came into like another kind of metaphor, right? Like the tongue is a very powerful weapon because you can say shit to someone or you can speak with authority, and that will convey messages, and those messages will get the point across, right? So it can be used to speak in words to cause something, right? Spelling or whatnot, but it's also the vibration of the tongue. And the tongue is like, if you think about it, like if you're sticking your tongue out at someone, like that famous pic of Albert Einstein, he's like, like I don't think he's doing that. That was a weird face, probably. Well, he's sticking his tongue out, right? And then it's sort of like the tongue can be like you're making fun of someone, or you're like daring someone, like like what, like, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, the snake with the tongue hissing, keep away, or whatever. So there's a lot with tongues in there that is, I don't know, I feel like important, but it might not necessarily be actually utilizing the tongue to pronounce physical words. It can also be in vibration. So like, if you hiss at a motherfucker, like they know that they need to like take a few steps backwards, you know what I'm saying? So here's from the reptilians. We hiss, we vibrate our tongues, we remain impassive. We simply issue a warning. The forked tongue is an example of a thing having the potentiality to go both ways. So this is also in terms of the warning that like a reptilian will give, because they're always going to show what they're doing, right? Reptilian energy from the fourth dimensional standpoint. So it can go either way. So they bear their tongue, right? Because it's like, how do you wish to proceed, motherfucker? And they hiss. But you also see that it can go both ways, and it goes by the way. Remember I said, if the fourth dimensional reptilian energy is the mirror, then the motherfucker who's receiving that, I guess, hiss is going to choose which way do they want it to go. Do they want to back away from the reptilian, or do they want to proceed and then have it go another way, which is just going to reiterate their own fears? Okay, so that's just to clarify what they said with that. So here we go. Little mantra if you want. A little fucking nice, little cute little crocodile mantra. I am the dominant force. I issue a warning. How do you approach me? Question mark. Friend or foe? Question mark. How shall I respond to you in kind? It goes both ways. You choose your fate. Crocodiles smile from both sides. Take note of the toothy grin. Is it right side up or is it upside down? If you turn a frown upside down, it's a smile, and vice versa. I mean, you know, whatever. This is how we roll, but I think it's funny. It's all good fun. Okay, so always know that if you present yourself like, you know, I am a fucking reptilian shapeshifter, it could go any which way you want to go, because I sense your fear, but you ain't knowing nothing about me, motherfucker. Then, you know, now it's like they essentially choose what they want out of that experience with that reptilian, okay? Because if a crocodile hissing at you in the goddamn fucking river and you don't get the fuck out the river, he's like, well, I done gave you a warning, motherfucker, okay? So that's what it is. Because I was actually watching, and they do hiss at if they want someone to stay away from them who they might perceive as like equal to them. They're not going to hiss at a fucking zebra, you know what I'm saying, because they already perceive the zebra as weak, right? Less on the food chain that they are. But I saw this video of like crocodiles and crocodiles and a hippo, a bunch of crocodiles and one hippo eating a zebra's ass, like literally, like they were, oh my god, they were eating a zebra's ass. I shit you not, because it was like the ass part of the zebra. There was no salad dressing or nothing. They were just up in there like eating that ass, okay? Like there was blood all over the place. I was like, wow. So the hippo, right, is big. The hippo is big, right? So the crocodile is like, oh, you know what? I see someone who's kind of, you know, almost on my caliber, and I see this motherfucker coming towards a piece of ass that I'm eating, so I'm gonna just like he like snapped or he did something to the crocodile, and then the hippo was like, oh, no worries, brother. You know, you get that butt cheek, I'll get this one. Like he kind of left it alone. You see what I'm saying? So that's just kind of way the crocodile operates. Like they're not gonna, or a reptilian. I keep talking about crocodiles because I'm a crocodilian a little bit crocodilian. Okay, that's the one that I identify the most with. You might identify with another reptile the most, but for me, I'm telling you it's crocodilian. Okay, so we always tell you what we're up to. The choice is up to you. How do you wish to proceed, friend or foe? So in that instance, the hippo was, oh, no worries, brother, I'm gonna be over here. Like, and he left the crocodile alone, and the crocodile left him alone. But if someone proceeds, like let's say they're really based in fear and they don't recognize what the reptilian or the crocodile in that example is doing when they hiss or they issue a warning, then now it's like the natural ability to shape shift into showing that individual like the candy cane that they fucking fear. Okay, I really want to know the name of that movie with Paul Walker and they were fucking driving there on the fucking walkie-talkie or like CB radio. I don't know what the fuck that was. Okay, like I want to talk to candy cane and drink pink champagne. Like wow, that was some shit. Anyway, okay, so altitude, velocity, heat. You know, we're just gonna, that's what they want me to keep reiterating in terms of incorporating fourth dimensional energy into the vessel, both the physical vessel and the non-corporal vessel, which is representative of mind, body, space, of fourth dimensional energy where the reptilian shape-shifting occurs. Once you have defeated the demons, now you become the reptilian shapeshifter, and you become essentially the bigger demon. Not that you want to just because it's natural, because you're just going to naturally shapeshift and turn into the mirror should anyone approach you with stupidness. Okay, so it's natural. Okay, so what I spoke of in the beginning, okay, I don't even know how long I was talking at this point, but in the beginning I was talking about, I was like, you want to corkscrew a motherfucker, okay? And I got this because of the crocodile death roll, okay? So if you've ever, this is again like, oh my god, I was looking at these videos of just like crocodile death roll, and so what they do, it's like the most adorable little thing, and they'll like grab the prey with their mouth and they'll like start flipping around and around like a spiral, right? It's so adorable. It's just so adorable. They're like, ugh, they're really proud of themselves. Like when I can tell you a crocodile, like they're so proud of themselves when they can fucking complete a successful like corkscrew, like, and they be looking at each other too. Like, you know how you see on like figure skating and shit, I think they call like triple axel or some shit, right, where you up in the air and you spin in whatever the fuck that shit is, you know, like, and you perfect it, like the Olympic shit, that it's like, you know, the corkscrew, how many corkscrews, how many turns, how many revolutions can the crocodile do when it's intercepting its prey, when it's overtaking its prey? They look at each other like, yo man, that motherfucker did 5 corkscrews, oh snap. Like that's what they, I'm telling you, I'm channeling crocodiles now. That's just wild, but I needed to do it in order to like explain this little metaphor from an energetic perspective. So, the corkscrew move, which the crocodile performs, aka the death roll, is designed to disorient its prey. If you want to think of this from an energetic standpoint, reptilian energy will distort their prey from a mental and emotional vantage point by showing them precisely what they fear. So it's like, and it's in a different context than, you know, someone with reptilian energy. I'm not going to speak for everyone. They may or may not be seeking out individuals to prey upon, whatever, you know. A highly evolved reptilian is not going to do that. They're just going to do that if it behooves them in the moment and they have to, you know, show who's boss, right? But the way that the corkscrew works from an energetic standpoint is really like the funhouse mirror. When I say do the corkscrew, this is when you know that you're actively now, you are the funhouse mirror, but someone needs a little extra like you know, pizzazz up their booty hole, you know what I'm saying? But you do it energetically. You don't put a corkscrew up someone's fucking booty hole. I mean, unless they ask you to in a sexual manner, then I guess, I mean, if that's what they're into, you know, I don't know, I ain't got nothing to say about that. But I mean, I'm sure it's went on a time or two, like at some point, okay? Because humanoids, they be doing some dastardly things. Like that to me is just like, I don't know, you want a corkscrew in your butt. Like, that's interesting. Unless it's like a silicone or like rubberized one, and then maybe that could... Okay. Where the fuck did this go? I'm sober, by the way, I just wanted to let you know. But either which way, the corkscrew metaphorically up the butt, right? You know how there's like this saying, like they took it up the butt, right? When someone's like uptight or they got butt hurt, right? The way that I see it, and you might see it differently, but I'm calling the corkscrew like that death roll. It's like if someone is really like, they're seeing the, you know, it's like a fun house mirror, right? And now this is something where I would say, you know, because we always want to talk about like positive aspects and negative aspects, or aspects that are beneficial, aspects that are detrimental, shadow aspects, light aspects. This occurs in the 4D too. So reptilian energy, when it is highly evolved and it's operating under, you know, the prime governance of closer end of the spectrum towards, you know, ethereal and joyful energy, they're going to do the corkscrew. It's just natural, right? But when someone is at the shadow aspect in the fourth dimensional reptilian construct, they you know, they're already the fun house, because like I said, it's natural. It's like when you when you go in the sunlight, your pupils are just going to get smaller. You're not like doing that, you're not actively doing that, right? It just is. So that's how, you know, the that's how the fun house mirror is. It's natural, right? And that would be the lighter end of the spectrum. The shadow end of the spectrum is like you're already doing the maneuver naturally, right? Like your pupils already got smaller, but now you're corkscrewing. It's like you're kind of doing it on purpose, and you're doing it more in a way where you're like energetically fucking them. I don't know how to describe it. It sounds really weird when I say it. Like I have a good image of what they showed me, but you know, because to disorient the prey, right? The crocodile, that's why it's spinning, right? To disorient the prey so it can have more of the upper hand than it already does, right? So this is when someone is actively wielding their powers of fourth dimension. Like they're doing it with like an intention behind it, right? They're like twisting it because they know, remember, from fourth dimensional standpoint, you just know and sense everyone's fucking fears. So you can do it in a way where you shapeshift and then they get shook because you the candy cane that they afraid of, and then they run away. But you can also do it where let's say, you know, someone is shook of candy canes, but like, you know, you gave them a warning, but then they approach you again and they're like candy cane or some shit, right? Like you ain't no candy cane, whatever the fuck they're saying. This is such a weird example. I don't know why candy canes came out of, they popped out of someone's booty hole. I don't know where the fuck. Corks, you know what? Let me stop. So, right, like they're like provoking, but the reptilian is like, but I still see that you're afraid of candy canes, right? Because that's what the fear is radiating to the reptile. Did I say crocodilian or reptile? I don't know. Crocodiles, whatever. It's a reptile. They are a reptile. We're all reptiles here. From like a, you know, pretty good standpoint as they design parts of the humanoid vessel here and the fucking brain. But either which way, so if someone is actively now corkscrewing, they are energetically, they know that they're the fun house, but now they're adding, they see the fear, but they're adding like a fedora on top of the fucking candy cane, right? They have a pimp cane. They have a candy cane holding another candy cane as a pimp cane with a fucking fedora and a bow tie, and they parading around in front of the motherfucker, right? They're doing it. They're embellishing the funhouse mirror effect, okay? I think that's probably the word I was looking for, but, you know, and that can be for malicious purposes. I'm not saying that malicious purposes don't go on with reptilian energy, because there are different individuals that master reptilian energy, and some have, depending on where they're at, these type of intentions or those type of intentions. But if you are in a predominant reptilian energy and you come across another reptilian, whatever their intentions are, you're just already gonna sense that both y'all motherfuckers ain't afraid of shit, and you'll be like, oh, and they're gonna be like, oh, and you're just gonna, it's gonna be like the crocodile and the hippo, like they're kind of both just like, oh, let's just stay out of each other's way, let's just leave it alone. Like, they're not gonna bother you, okay? And you're not gonna bother them because you're not gonna want to, because you're not gonna give a fuck, okay? And because it goes like on a primeval base of sensing fear, fourth dimensional plane of experience is someone else who has mastered that, and you're recognizing them recognizing you from the 4D mentality. You already know that, like, they're not going to harm you because they see that you're unafraid, right? And then it goes back to, like, you know, energy and things like that, because if someone is emitting a fear frequency, they're just going to attract things to be afraid of. If someone is emitting, I don't know, friendship frequency, they're going to attract more friends, right? Friend or foe, which you choose, okay? So also, which is weird, I just figured I would mention this just as, like, we're closing up here, is when I was typing in the images, like in the search bar for crocodile death roll, I typed death roll, R-O-L-E, and not R-O-L-L, which I find is very profound, because if we want to think of it, it's a physical death roll, but it's also a role. Like, you know, an actor can have a role, like that's their starring role, they're the lead role, right? Like, that's what they're doing. So reptilian energy can be looked at as both ways, in the terms of, let's say someone approaches you from a vantage point of like a, you know, third dimensional fear-based thing. Your role, essentially, R-O-L-E, is to show them the candy cane that they are so fearful of, reflect it back to them. That is your role, because you're just the mirror. You see what I'm saying? You're not really there like to engage with them. You just sort of naturally shapeshift and indicate to them something about themselves that requires their attention in the moment. So I think I'm going to leave the video off there, because maybe roll and roll, that might have something, I don't know, if you like wordplay, I love wordplay, but that's what I have in regards to this reptilian energy, and how there is a mind-body space, which is like the triad of the Godhead, and that's in the 4D, and is representative, the fruition of utilizing the non-corporal vessel to the best of your ability. And once you do that, that is when you become the pure shapeshifter. So if you do start to notice things about yourself, or if individuals are saying to you like, whoa, like you look different, like I just saw fucking, is that a little fucking forked tongue over there, you know, whatever the fuck it is, right? If someone, you know, that can happen, and it's just something natural. But there's also, you know, I'm just saying, I ain't casting no judgment, but I mean, if you corkscrew a motherfucker like energetically, you know, they might have chose that path for you to do that, because remember, the forked tongue, it can go both ways, but you're the mirror, so it's the way that they choose, and you will always instinctually know how to preserve that vessel that is in the ethers, that is non-corporal, and that's the preservation of that, the mirror. You are the chameleon. You shapeshift to preserve that portion of the vessel, the higher octave of the third dimensional physical vessel, the fourth dimensional, some might call it astral body, that vessel. Okay, that is how you preserve it, by shapeshifting. It's natural. You're not manipulating anyone. You're just the mirror. Okay. So that is what I have for you today. I am Oculus, the alien next door. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful stroll today. We'll chit-chat again soon.